As Dochi says, it's a sunny day. The gang's all here. Rex is here. Ha 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 ha. I'm here. I'm Molly. You're watching Mirror Readings, and today we're talking about the lines of your evolution. So, the evolution path is that of breakthrough, and it takes us from how you evolve to your radiance, which is like your life force, our vitality. So, let's get into it. This evolutionary shadow can represent a very uncomfortable place for us. So until you come to see this shadow playing out in your life and begin the process of coming to terms with it, your genius activation sequence will remain dormant. So a lot of times in our evolutionary node, this pattern, whatever it is, the shadow that gives way to the gifts, and remember the shadows are what block our manifestations and the gifts call them in, but this will typically play out in our relationships. So if you can't really relate to this gene key, check your closest relationships. They might have some feedback for you. For me, I have gene key 54 in my evolution, and for a long time, that shadow of greed didn't resonate with me. I was like, I'm not greedy about money. I'm not greedy in love. Like, what else could I be greedy about? For me, greed showed up as a need for relevance. I was greedy to be known and liked or something. It ended up being more insidious and kind of like sneaky than you typically think of greed. I'd like to think I'm stabilized now in the gift of aspiration, but again, like it was a really uncomfortable aspect of my shadow self that I avoided for a long time. So checking in with close relationships is a great way to see where this shadow might be showing up for you. Again, the lines and the gene keys are how we move from the shadow to the gift frequency. So let's get into line 1. Line 1 is about self and empowerment. And line 1s, even if they seek counsel about how their shadows are showing up in their lives from their relationships, ultimately they can't really take advice from other people and have it work. They have to connect with their own aloneness to figure out how to evolve past that shadow state into their gifts. So if you have a first line evolution, then your primary challenge is always likely to be how self-assured or inadequate you feel. And again, you have to meet this challenge courageously and on your own. Line 2s evolve through passion and relationships. Fun. So if the second line always learns most intensely through a relationship. And the dilemma and beauty of the second line as a life theme is that its nature is to be unself-conscious, like the dancer in your life's work. At the gift and city frequency, this emerges gracefully and has enormous beneficial impact. But at the shadow frequency, it is disastrous because you wreak a lot of havoc in your relationships. Therefore, if you have a second line theme as your life's work or your evolution, your challenge is to listen to and observe the feedback from those closest to you. So opposite of line 1, you need the reflections and advice from others to be able to evolve. Line 3, energy and experience. You guys are all about change, and you're such a paradox because you have to go around having a bunch of experiences in order to learn the lessons that you need. Life is going to teach you how to evolve out of that shadow state and into the gift. But then, paradoxically, you need to quit seeking experience as a distraction in order to get rooted in yourself, your own evolution, and start using those experiences and everything that you learned from them to enrich others. All right, fourth lines, love and community. Me again. So with the fourth line evolution, our life's great challenge is likely to be about finding a balance between being alone and being with others. So we have to figure out how we share our gifts without getting burnt out or without falling into the shadow state that I was describing earlier about being addicted to being relevant within the community. As a fourth line, you might like to view the gene key of your evolution as a quality designed to be shared with others. The more you share your gift, the more you feed yourself, and the more influential you become. So I have the 54th gift of aspiration, and my aspiration to be the best version of myself for me so that I can enjoy my experience the most rather than try to be seen as like having this gift. I mean, I know I'm saying this on my own YouTube channel, so it's a bit of a paradox, but No offense to the gene keys, I'm definitely not doing this to be relevant. I'm doing it because I love it and I have a lot to offer. On to line 5's projection and power. So the way that line 2s have to be unself-conscious, line 5s have to be very self-conscious because they're so powerful. Line 5 has the X factor. And according to the book, this is not something that you can do anything about because it's uncultivated. So you just have to be aware of the profound effect you have on others so that you don't overwhelm them, disappoint them. Fifth lines always risk being misunderstood, but people are naturally drawn to them because they're so powerful. And yeah, what does this mean? You have to have really good professional and personal boundaries and just be aware of how big an effect you have on others and use that power wisely. And finally, line 6, education and surrender. I'm not gonna lie, 6th line in your evolution, this is tough because you have so much to learn before your dreams can come true. And by the time you've matured to acquire all this wisdom, a lot of times your dreams will have changed. So surrender is really, really key to being a line 6, and it's all about taking the long-term view. Through your own experience, you will learn that life knows best. And in the end, trusting life can eventually bring you into the world as a role model. Education does not impose views. Rather, it draws out what's already inside. In this sense, the 6th line is willing to sacrifice personal goals for a wider collective goal, and even one that will not mature until long after one's own lifetime. So if you're a line 6, take the long view. Look at how your shadow and gifts might manifest even beyond your own lifetime. It's a wild thing to consider, but as I said, 6th line is tough and you gotta change up your perspective to be able to appreciate how powerful it is. Dude, I know it's a lot of information, but this data is so helpful. And every little piece of your gene key profile that you contemplate is gonna unlock some extraordinary self-realization that will really help you. I promise. Just keep going, but don't be in a hurry. I've literally been studying this system for 10 years and I learn something new every time I open one of these books or listen to one of the audio tapes or one of Richard Rudd's lectures, whatever. Just get in there. The path is to know thyself. And nothing has helped me more specifically face aspects of my personality that have been challenging or inhibiting than my work with the gene keys. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Molly. If you'd like to get a reading with me, please visit me, mirrorreadings.com. And if you have any questions, email me, mirrorreadings@gmail.com. What else? Oh, subscribers to this channel get 15% off. Thanks for being here.